Welcome to Makery Pokery. Today we're going to make this shop stool. This is a very simple project. You could make this pretty much with just a jigsaw and maybe a drill. I'm also going to use a track saw and a few other tools, but don't let the tools stand in the way. This couldn't be any simpler. I'm basing this design off of one I saw DiResta make. I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out. Mine has a square top and is made in a slightly different way. So yeah, please stick around. My approach to making this is going to be very simple. I'm going to make the first side and then use that as a template to make all the other sides. I wanted the base to be 18 inches. I decided to make the stool 24 inches tall because that's what's comfortable for me. I'm 6'2". If you were going to make this, you could make it any size you like. And then I knew the seat was going to be 14 inches square, but I knew I wanted there to be a lip, so I had the legs come to 12 inches at the top. The basic procedure I followed was to measure 18 inches from the edge of the board and then mark the halfway point of that, which is 9 inches. Then I went 24 inches up and I measured 12 inches, but I centered it on that mark, 9 inches from the edge. This resulted in a 12-inch line being centered on the 18-inch line. Then I could just connect the edges and I didn't have to worry about calculating the angle or using a protractor or anything like that. I wanted to make this a little more fun. So what I did was I basically looked at where the arc left the straight line. And then on this piece of cardboard, I drew a straight line. And I lined it up with that straight line. And I made a mark where each of the little points was. And then I just kind of traced like a fun curve and cut it out. And so the result is that kind of kooky shape. Right, and then I can apply it over here as well. Same way, line up the straight line with the original line. All right, so the layout is complete. I'm gonna cut this piece off. I'm just gonna use a track saw. Now, you could use a jigsaw, you could use a circular saw. A track saw, although it has some nice features, in reality a track saw is basically just a circular saw with a nice straight edge to run against. So don't be intimidated. I'm going to cut this side. There's some flaws that has to be cleaned up. This little corner has to be rounded. We can do all that with a sanding. The sanding. I think it's kind of a funny shape though I like it. I think it's gonna be a cool, whatever we're making. Stool, right. So look, you can see it's still not perfect, but that was a very short amount of sanding and it's already improving. So I'm just gonna fix that thing right up there. So now that the first side was made, I could use it as the template to make all the other sides. I cut all the sides a little bit bigger than I needed them to be so that I would have material to route away when I stack them all up with the template. This lets me get them perfectly identical to one another. Next, I stuck all the pieces together with double-sided tape. I traced the template onto each piece before I did it so I would know exactly where the tape had to go. One thing to note is that if you choose to do it this way and jigsaw multiple pieces at once, be aware that the jigsaw blade is going to deflect one side or another. In other words, you're not going to get a perfectly straight cut. There's nothing you can do about that I know of. That's why I'm leaving myself extra material. We had an audio problem, so I don't have the original camera audio for this, but it's important that you note this. I'm going to route all three sides against the template at once, but I have a large size templating bit and I've done a ton of routing. I'm very comfortable on the router. It would be safer, especially if you're a beginner, to just use the template and a single piece. I highly suggest you take a class or watch way more videos than this one before you try to use a router if you've never used one before. Once all the pieces were identical, I put a little roundover on the insides with a roundover bit, just so it feels nicer to the hand. Because they're not exactly the same from side to side, I marked the right side on all of them. So long as it just goes right to right, left to left, and so forth, it'll line up perfect. I had a piece of hardwood that was about the right size. You could use plywood as well. I cut it to fit the opening, which I measured. I just glued it in there. I had to do this off camera. For the seat, I cut a 14-inch square piece of plywood, and then I rounded the corners just to make it more comfortable. Now, because of the way this was made, this is not a square. It's 13 inches one way and 12 inches the other. So I just measured the offset and then just made some lines so I know how to center it. All right, truth 10. The stool is wobbly. Somehow the legs aren't exactly right. However, I'm fixing it. It seems like these two corners are a little longer. All right, there you go. Okay, so it's sturdy, it's stable. It was wobbly, but I fixed it. Looks pretty nice. I like how it's kind of bowed and weird looking. But that's the project. Very simple, very fun to build, didn't take very long. It's a useful thing to have. It's a great thing to start with if you're a beginner. You don't need a lot of tools, and you end up with something you can actually, use. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Bye.